Hey, pop pickers, and welcome to Cherished Cars. Now then, what we're doing today? Well, it's a bank holiday. It's Friday. It's Good Friday of the Easter bank holiday weekend. So of course it's raining. It was always going to rain this weekend. I'd aimed off for that, and we were going to go down to London as a family, but the wife's unwell again. So I'm going to crack on and get some jobs done on the cars. I think the last update video I did with the cars, I'd kind of half started, or well, I did most of the service for the Note, but there's a few jobs I need to finish off with timing chain inspection and rocker gasket replacement. Oh, and a pollen filter, so that I'll get them done today. There's a couple of interior bits on the Insignia that I'll do when inevitably it starts raining again. And I also need to bleed the brakes on the Bootstrap Banger. Make sure the clutch fluid is all okay as well. It's the same, it's a common reservoir, it's the same kind of reservoir for the brakes. So bleed all that through, make sure there's no hydraulic issues with that. The clutch is a bit funny on the Bootstrap Banger. And also, if I get time, get onto the lock, the issues on that you've seen before. But why the thumbnail? Yeah, I've just been trolled by Jeremy Vine a little bit, which is interesting because he's jumped onto a post that I had nothing to do with him really. But basically on my feed on Twitter, I took exception to somebody fantasizing about the death of someone. And this third party that this person's on about isn't actually someone I know personally. It's just somebody I've interacted with via kind of social media. And you know, the thing I love about YouTube and Twitter and all of the rest of it is a virtual community, but it represents in the car side of things anyway. It represents like a real life world out there. And so there's all sorts of people from all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of different kind of cultures who've got cars in common, and we don't have to agree with everything, and that's cool, and that's part of the fun, is a bit of diversity. It kind of makes things a bit more interesting. So anyway, this bloke actually happened to kind of come to my attention when he was slagging off one of the things about my YouTube channel, which is cool. So I kind of followed him because he's into his bikes, and that's cool as well. So yes, it's all good. Like when I say interact on the comments and that, you know, tell me you're good, you're bad and the ugly. I don't mind, I quite like it. Anyway, this other punter has come into, like, you know, I don't know, there's been some spat about bike pedo stuff or whatever, I don't know. I'm not into all of that. And I don't really support that message. In fact, I don't support it at all. Let me be really clear about that. But I also don't think it's on to kind of fantasize about people's deaths. That's like, what is wrong with people? Like, that is a classic throwaway thing that you said on social media that you would never, ever, or no sane person anyway would ever say to someone's face. So I've just called it out. And apparently now I'm in the wrong for not calling out anything else that's been said by anyone else, which I don't agree with, because I'm not the Twitter police, but at the same time I suppose I probably have stuck my neck above the parapet there. And then Jeremy Vine's compiling in completely on the side of this kind of bike bloke, which is fine, I don't care, you know, that's fine. But the bit that really makes me laugh is that he's kind of knocked the credibility of what I've said, because he's saying I don't have a profile picture and my name isn't on my bio, and it's like, well, it is. I'm Tom O'Sullivan, I do videos, my Twitter's up, you know, I've got professional links on my Twitter. Like, I'm not hiding really, I'm not a bot. You know, you can ignore anyone really on social media. You don't have to engage, but if you do engage, at least bloody fact check yourself before you start accusing someone else of being a bot or whatever's going on. Anyway, so yeah, so if you clicked on the thumbnail because you've seen that I've kind of had a bit of banter or a bit of an exchange with Jeremy Vine, and you think that this is going to be some tirade against bike wankers or whatever, then you're on the wrong video, you're on the wrong channel. I actually quite like bikes. I have several pushbacks, and I have a motorbike, and I have several cars, many of which are in bits. You know, I'm not going to be sucked into a kind of us versus them discussion, because it's nonsense. But at the end of the day, we are all humans, so let's just remember that, and let's not get silly about the things we put on social media, because it's just not very helpful. And this is Easter, without getting all touchy-feely and Jesus bashing about it. You know, there is a bit of a message about like renewal and new beginnings. So yeah, there you go. Maybe I'm being a bit philosophical and I should just do some car stuff. Let's just do some car stuff. See you in a second. Right, then first things first. So the Bootstrap Banger had actually started bleeding the brakes on this bad boy, but really and truly, the brake reservoir is here. So this is the last one I should be bleeding. The The reason I started here was because I'd replaced this brake hose, and so I was just going to bleed it through and top up the brake fluid, but what came out was absolutely minging, so I'm going to flush all the brake fluid out, which means I need to start as far away from the master cylinder as I can, which is on the other side at the back. So I'm going to get the 2 back wheels up, the tyres off, and basically get doing that. It's a common cylinder for the clutch as well, and I have got a bit of a dodgy clutch pedal. It doesn't always return. Probably wants replacing, but it might be a hydraulic issue, and if it is, then I can limp it for an MOT, and that's fine. Looks like it's misted up again inside. I've got a bit of a recurring damp issue, might be the sunroof. So anyway, I'll get the wheels off, well, I'll get it up in the air, get the wheels off, and start pumping some fresh .4 through this, and I will recruit one of the kids to help me smash the old brake pedal down, because I haven't got an auto siphon. So yeah, I'm going to get on with it. You might have just spotted the brother-in-law's whip. This is quite nice. I do quite like it. He's debadged it, so I'm not sure what it is, but it's not got false tips on it. I know it's got a sporty engine on it. He's had a lot of work done on this. It's done a lot of miles as well, but he has spent a lot of money on it. Fair play to him. I've got to respect that. Got to respect that. Quality just spent ages looking for the right socket to get these wheel nuts off, and that'd be there then. Will have been there for some time as well, but hey, tell you what, it's not rusted at all. Do like these Halford advanced sockets, and you know what, they're cheap. They are 12 pointers, which isn't great. I'd rather they were 6-point sockets, but you know what, they're cheap and they've got a lifetime warranty on them, and it's no quibble. And Halfords are, you know, they're good, they stand by their words. So if you're starting out and you need a socket set, you could go a lot worse than a Halfords advanced socket set. And I think they're probably doing deals this weekend because it's bank holiday weekend. So not endorsed, not sponsored, not making any money off that, just going off my own personal experiences. Oh man, easy jobs are always the hardest. What is this in here? I'll tell you what that is. That is brake grease or some kind of contamination. That is not rust, that has not come off the road. Something is weeping out of this hub. Let's see how bad it is. Can I clean it up and get through an MOT and do it afterwards? We'll see, but you can see, or you might not be able to see very well on camera, but this has got like a misting of grease around it. Something isn't very happy, and chances are the brake efficiency is not going to pass an MOT test. At the very least, I'll get the parts in before the test. If I can sort it out, I will do. But it might be I have to do this in between a retest, you know, in the retest period. But yeah, that is not what you want to see when you're taking the rear wheels off. That's definitely got worse. I've driven this back from where the welding was done. Other than that, it's not been driven for a long time, so that has probably just been caused by, you know, some binding or something having sat for a long time and been disturbed, and it's probably knackered the internals on the rear drum discs. But I kind of knew I was going to have to do them at some point soon anyway. Just hope they were okay to get me through a test, so I'll have a little look. No point doing the brake fluid if I need to redo these brakes. You know, I'm just going to end up having to redo the same job again. So I'll look at the other side as well, and we'll see how bad it is. Absolute classic, and I don't even know if the parts stores are open today because it's Good Friday. On a positive, the Bootstrap Banger is nice and stiff. You probably can't see this, but that rear wheel is already pretty much off the ground, just because the other side is jacked up. Why is that a good thing? Well, it means it's going to handle really nice. It's going to handle really well. The suspension on these is quite cool. Very basic. You've got this kind of beam going across the back where the axle is, and the suspension's kind of mounted at the front of it with a dampener on the back. Really simple, really straightforward. That was what was dropped to do the welding. In fact, I'll show you the welding repairs in a second. So yeah, very happy that that's so stiff, because I think this could be quite a little sporty little weapon when it's done. Parking brake efficiency test. Failed. Oh God, this MOT, it's never going to happen, is it? Just want to spend a quick minute showing you the repair work that's been done. So as you can see, the old section that was completely rotten out down here has all been kind of cut out and welded back in. Nice and solid now, no issues. The inner wheel liner has been removed, so I won't have any more dirt and crap kind of hiding behind it, and it's been kind of undersealed where the welding's happened. I must admit, I kind of hoped it'd be undersealed all the way around, but you know, I can't really blame Derek. He's done the bits that he's done. You know, where would he stop? So that's fair enough, really. But just with the wheel liner out, the area is quite exposed to kind of stone chips now, so I do need to get that undersealed, or at least stone chipped. The actual paintwork needs doing, minimal on this side, although, you know, once you start, where do you stop? Because again, that's all going to need kind of a good clean off and making sure everything's protected. But yeah, happy with all of that, and the structural mounting for this suspension is kind of renewed and strong again. And then round on this side, much the same. Needs a job, if I'm honest, this side, but the damage was a lot less excessive. And again, disadvantage, you know, the problem with undersealing is I've now got underseal on the brake unions, so if I do need to replace these brake hoses, that's going to be a bit of a pain. You know, you might end up having to sacrifice some of your fixed brake pipe and having to kind of recouple to it, because that might not undo very easily, and if it does, it might not reconnect very well. But I mean, you know, that's just the reality of an older car. And you know, the reality of our roads in the UK is you need to put some kind of paint protection underneath them. This hub, we've seen the other hub okay. This hub, a little bit weepy, a little bit of a sign of something having kind of weeped in the past there. On the whole, it doesn't look too bad, but what I would say is everything's just a bit greasy, so I'm going to give it a good brake clean and a good clean off now. I think what I will do is I will just drain the old fluid, because in all fairness, these shouldn't have brake fluid inside them. The brake fluid goes into the cylinder at the top, which is responsible for pushing out the brake shoes onto the inside of the drum, and then there's like a return spring, so when you take your foot off the servo and that servo stops pushing the brake pads out, the return spring pulls them back together. Lots of different things could go wrong with hub brakes, but in the main they're very reliable, and they're very user friendly to work on as well, so I'm not necessarily super worried about them. That parking brake efficiency piece could simply be that the brake fluid itself is knackered, or something to do with the settings on the handbrake cable, things of that nature. So you know, there might be other bits I need to get into just to look at what's going on there. The handbrake, actually thinking about it, would be nothing to do with the brake fluid on these. That'll be cable operated. But yeah, so bits and pieces to look at, things to consider, but I'm not losing my mind over any of this. And you know, if I can get the brake fluid changed and I've got a firm pedal, it's going to be safe to drive. And if I've got a bit of a braking balance or braking efficiency issue, the MOT will tell me that and I'll know where to go. So that's the whole point of having annual safety tests. I'm going to get on with the brake fluid change now. First job to do is go around, remove all of the dust covers off the bleed valves, get plenty of Bulldog onto them to just free off the nuts. I'll take my time with that, and then once I've got them all kind of working free and loose, I'll start on this side. So it'll be this side first, then this side, and that's drawing the new fluid from the front where the master cylinder is all the way to the back. So this is the longest way it's got to go, then the next longest way is to that back corner, then the next longest is to the driver's side, and then the shortest is to the passenger side where the actual brake work was done on that flexi hose. The clutch fluid, I'm not sure where that's located. It's probably on top of the gearbox, so I'll need to get underneath. So I'm on 4 jack stands now, so that's fine, I should have access, but it's whether or not any of the kind of subframe or anything like that's going to be in the way. Hopefully it won't, because it should be a kind of item that you're going to service, but we shall see. You know, these jobs often take a lot longer than I think they do because I've got optimism bias, but you know, otherwise why would I have 4 semi-broken cars on my driveway in March in the UK, you know, if I didn't think I could do these jobs? Oh geez, it's quite a fleet, isn't it? Quite a fleet. Anyway, let's get on with it. Well, the bootstrap banger's fighting me. It does not want to play today at all. If you can see here, essentially what I've gone and done is I've gone and snapped off the brake bleed valve. It wasn't through thoughtlessness and being aggressive. I literally tried every trick in the book to try and get it off, but ultimately it just wasn't having any of it. And the metal fatigue, oh god, focus, yeah, the metal fatigue has taken it off. Don't know why it keeps focusing elsewhere. So essentially what I've tried to do already is drill it out. Can't get clearance for the drill because of this, can't be bothered taking this off. I think, you know, given the state of these brakes anyway, I mean, if you look at that, you can see there's a heck of a lip. You know, there's a good kind of decent mill lip on that. I might just crack on. I might get a new caliper. I might even get 2 new calipers. Might do the brakes on the front and the back. I mean, in all fairness, I wouldn't mind giving this a decent wire brush, because like, it just wants it. And once it's been done, it's going to be really nice. So I'm going to need to call this something other than a bootstrap banger, because the more time and money I spend on it, the more this is becoming. And I say this very lightly, because Twitter's going to go nuts at me now, or YouTube comments are going to go nuts at me. The more this is becoming kind of a nut and bolt refurb. You know, new track rod ends, new sway bars, potentially new calipers, new brakes. Springs are a bit flaky. I mean, you know, where do you stop? Well, the answer is I'm not going to do them. But I mean, looking at its brake hose, it's not as bad as the other side, but I've given it a good spray just in case I need to take this apart, because this union down here is looking pretty sketch. I don't really fancy my chances of getting this off, given how difficult the bleed valve's been. So anyway, I'll have a little fettle with this, and then I'm going to draw stumps fair on that and switch fire to the note. But it'll probably start raining. I can do the interior on the Insignia. So, you know, there's a bit of a plan, even though I'm just absolutely hoying through this like an absolute ape with power tools. But such is life. I'll crack on. There are days where you're just wasting your life, and this is one of them. So I've never messed around with these brakes before, but you've got to take like the plastic end covers off these like rubber protectors, and inside there's an Allen key. You have to undo the slide pins, get them out of the way, so you can get the brake pad carrier and hub apart, and then lift that off. And then when I can get that off, I can get access to this to screw it out. But of course, the issue I've got is I haven't actually got replacement parts going here, so why am I trying to screw that out yet, or drill it out I should say. I'm going to need to clamp this off anyway. I've started disassembling something and realised I haven't got the right hex bit to get in here. I need I think a 7, and on that little kit down there I've got an 8 and I've got a 6, but I ain't got a 7. I haven't got one in my sockets either, so you know, it is what it is. I'm going to start throwing bits back together. I'm going to order some new parts. I might just bite the bullet and buy a new caliper. What I might do is buy the parts to replace and refurb the bits that are knackered, and buy a new caliper and case and a new brake hose and case, because I really don't fancy getting that off in one piece. I could always return the bits I don't need. This is just more time and more effort, and I've been on this ages now. Haven't even looked at the note yet. I'm going to make a call in a minute on whether I've got enough time left to do the note. Might just do the interiors on the Insignia. It's always the way, you know, the simple little job of bleeding the brakes. I've gone and, you know, I've snapped the valve, and then as a result of that, you know, you're into all sorts of kind of follow-on bits and pieces that you wouldn't otherwise be doing. But you know, the end result of this will be I'll have new pads and discs. I'll have gone through the rear brakes as well, because I might as well. Everything's bled through. I know the car's going to stop properly and reliably and safely, and that just won't be an MOT issue. Can't do any work on the clutch at this stage. I'm kind of a bit knackered now on parts. In fact, I think what I will do, I think I'll have another go at the driver's door while I've got my tools around the bootstrap banger, and just focus my efforts on one car instead of flicking between different cars. So yeah, driver's lock next, and then probably wrap for the day. Predictably, it's hammering around, but check out that rainbow. Yeah, so it's soaking out. So anyway, I've taken refuge. I am going to have a go at trying to fix this surround that my eldest pulled off, thank you Max, and then try and get this old tat off out the way as well. So I think once I've done that, that'll be today done and dusted. Let's have a go. Okay, so I found the missing trim, and these little metal dowels were both missing as well, but I've managed to find both of them. Problem is, this one here has snapped. Sorry about the fingernail there. So I'm gonna have to kind of glue that back in place. So I'm gonna go in and do that with some hot glue tonight. That's kind of as far as I can take that job for now. The actual bits inside, the interior bits in there and on this side in there, they look absolutely fine. So I think once I've got those dowels in place, that'll be that job sorted. Interesting that it doesn't seem to want to kind of let that light go on. So I don't know if there's some kind of issue there, or maybe because the ignition's been off for a while. Anyway, next job is to take out this old hands-free stuff. I'm not sure what I'll do with the cabling binder. I might kind of stick a choppy block in, or just stick some heat shrink on the individual cables and, you know, electrical tape it all back up. But I need to get a few bits of trim out the way first, so I'll get into that. Looks like a bit of a disaster zone, but essentially the middle bit here kind of just pulls out. You have to kind of get into it from each side to prise it out. So I've just taken these little panels off both sides, and I've just lifted this bit of trim that goes around here as well. There's a single bolt here, so that should, yeah, that's undoing. So that's the mount. So that's this mount. I can take that off and put that bolt back in. Now this cable, I can't quite trace. It's going up and behind. Now, if it's going into the back of the stereo and all of that, I don't want to be taking the whole center console out. But I'm going to have a little look around and underneath and behind the glove box, because if it's going behind there, I might be able to disconnect it, which would be the neatest solution. But I'll definitely get this out of the way. Worst case scenario, I might just kind of see if I can take this apart, truncate it, tuck it all back inside there. I mean, it kind of looks like some kind of cabling's been cut or unfolded already anyway. So yeah, so making progress. It all looks pretty bad at the moment, but it'll go back together pretty quickly. So glad I'm doing this. It's one job out of the way. Oh, and also another bonus, when I was rooting around, hang on, I was rooting around in the glove box, I also found a little bit of plastic that looks like it's broken off this corner, so I can super glue that, and that'll be a good little fix. I might even get that back on tonight as well. Right, no time for chatting, more action. Let's get this done. Lol, so basically I just took this whole centre unit here, pulled it off for to have a good look, managed to trace this wire, and you can probably already see I've traced it all the way back to the cigarette lighter. I had already pulled out with the centre console, so that is literally just a power switch. There is a separate cable there that looks like it's been snipped before. Can't really obviously see where that's gone. There isn't anything hiding behind there, and it's not causing any problems. So I'm just going to undo this, put it all back together. Job's a good one. Probably spent a good 20 minutes on that I didn't need to, but it was only 20 minutes. And yeah, nothing ventured, nothing gained. The interesting thing is I have thought about taking this unit out and looking to see whether or not I could stick a nav unit in off a different model. And it all comes out really easily, to be fair. So that's probably something if I can get a cheap one off eBay, I might just have a go and see what happens, because now I know I can put it back together really quickly. So yeah, I'll get all this buttoned up and then show you a finishing clip and do an outro. This is the kind of thing you really need to watch out for if you've got any modded cabling in your car. So I can see here that these cables have been spliced in to the permanent live feed to this cigar lighter. I've got some options. I could take this all apart, separate the cables, put some heat shrink on them, rejoin them and heat shrink them individually, or I can separate this and then terminate them both and put some heat shrink on them and just tidy it all up. And because this is all wrapped up and neat, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to terminate these bits. In order to do that and not cause myself a massive problem, I'm going to strip back this sheath and then cut them individually and do them individually. So what I don't want to do is have a short. So I'll do that now. I've got some bits and pieces I'll go and fetch. It's only a few minutes job, whereas if I got into this, that'd take a bit longer. So all I've done here is I've just stripped the sheath back on the main cable there, or the auxiliary cable I should say. I've cut the first wire and I've just put a little bit of 2mm heat shrink over it and just heated that up, and that's now gone hard. So that's now nice and sealed. That's not going to short. What I'll do is I'll just fold that back and tape it to this section, and then I'll do exactly the same on that, and then I've got a nice clean kind of segment. And do you know what, I might just bundle this and see if anybody wants it on eBay. I've got the adapter for it. There's a few bags there with some accessories for it. There's the little kind of mount wherever that's gone down there. You know, might be worth a few quid, we'll see. I mean, it's better than just chucking it in the skip. And at the end of the day, the channel's all about recycling, reusing, avoiding kind of wasting stuff, you know, prolonging the shelf life of older cars. So good for the accessories as well. I'll get this finished up and everything put together. You're really not going to learn anything from this. You've seen kind of a process now, and then I'll do an outro. All put together. I'd like to say just like me, but you know, that's actually looking smart and tidy and completely straight and true. Anyway, job done. Right, so thanks for watching. I'll have a quick tidy up of the tools now, and then it's Good Friday, so Easter weekend. Whatever you're up to this weekend, I hope you have a great time. I hope the weather is behaving itself. It's been shocking today. It's gone really grey again now. What have I still got to do? Well, I've still got loads to do, haven't I? Big step forward on the Siggy today. Those little inside jobs, I've been putting them off for ages because they've not been bothering me, but they are key things to do to sell the car. I'm going to give it a service. It's kind of, it's not due a service for another couple of months, but I am going to give it a service, full service. So it's all good to go, and then probably get this listed. Bootstrap Banger needs to have a complete overhaul of the brakes, doesn't it? The door lock still needs doing. Haven't test driven it since I've done the suspension changes to the front. Probably need to get the tracking done, so Bootstrap Banger needs a bit of work. The Note has got the pollen filter, the rocker cover gasket and the timing chain check to do, and then that's fully serviced and the maintenance is fully up to date on that. And actually it's got a bit of bodywork that needs tidying, but that'll probably be the next one out the door, because we've had the Insignia now for about 18 months and the Note for several years. In fact, the Note's been in the family since new, because it was my mum and dad's car. So both cars kind of well used, well due to be moved on, and then that'll get us into the Bootstrap Banger as my daily for a few months. I won't keep it for ages. Probably take it to the Festival of the Unoriginal. The Festival of the Unexceptional, if I go. And then the Doug the Bug will become Sarah's daily. So yeah, so busy, not outrageous, busy. And I've got two other cars that aren't on the channel at the moment. I think, you know, I've got a Navara. Got a bit of work to do to that. I am thinking about setting that up as a bit of a mobile workshop, because at the moment my tool storage is a bit of a mess. It's all over the place. It just would be nice just to be able to kind of have the tools where I need them, when I need them. And with the unit about 40 minutes from where I live, where my other secret project is, being able to actually drive tools there and back would avoid the drama that you have when you've got two different locations of having tools in different places. You know, I ain't got loads of money to be thrown at kind of having duplicates of everything. And in all honesty, I'd rather invest in better tools and things that speed life up and make life easier than try and kind of buy another socket set and buy another jack and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, so anyway, that's me for now. I'll wrap this here. Have a great Easter weekend and see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Check you later. Bye bye.